Guys, when I first time saw those images in the morning, then I woke up, it reminded me, you know what, yeah, the special military operation that Russia started on February 24th, 2022 with a similar helicopter landing mission in Gostomel airfield. The difference is that it is the United States Army. They have some of the advanced technological equipment, some sort of the night vision goggles and so on. Russian Army doesn't have that massively. That's why they attacked during the daytime, and here is the nighttime. But still there was the moonlight and the lights from Caracas. That's why we see those helicopters on the mission. There were multiple of them, an armada of helicopters. There were even some close perspective of American helicopters. This one is Chinook. Also there were UH-60 Black Hawks and probably some of the attack helicopters. Or maybe those were modified versions of UH-60 with some of the missiles. But they're uncontrolled, they fire just straight forward. Plus, there were multiple of the strikes on military infrastructure of Caracas, air defense systems, a military airfield on territory of the city, and many more. Here we have the image from the military airfield. That's the air defense system, Buk air defense, that was supplied by Russia. And here is some sort of the Beechcraft, maybe airplane. Yeah, as it was documented, at least 2 of the air defense systems were lost for Venezuelan army. Also, military base and ammunition warehouse was hit, and as it is reported right now, there are some of the life losses among military personnel of Venezuelan army. And here we have the satellite image of the military base before and after. There is the smoke, and you can see this is the ammunition storage. You see, before it was okay, and now it's gone. Also, this ammunition storage is empty already. So United States, they really did a proper intelligence in the place. They understood what is where. They hit everything pretty much precisely. Then I first saw those images coming from the place, those helicopters. I believed that it could be like a Russian special military operation, which is ongoing, as we know, for already almost 4 of the years. But the goal of the special military operation of Donald Trump in Venezuela was not the full occupation of the country using the military forces and boots on the ground, but kidnapping Maduro and probably his wife, because she also was kidnapped. And actually it's outstanding. Well, it reminds a little the operation of the United States in Panama in 80s, but in the 21st century, it is the first case that dictator is being kidnapped from his own capital, and now he is in the process of being delivered to the trial, which will start in New York, I guess even tomorrow. We have this legit photo, definitely of Maduro, dictator of Venezuela, tweeted by Donald Trump, Nicolas Maduro on board of USS Iwo Jima on the way to New York. Donald Trump said about it on his press conference. The United States took Maduro from his shelter, maybe even from his palace. Well, Donald Trump says that from Maduro's palace, but maybe it was some sort of the bunker after all. This extraction operation happened simultaneously with the landing operation and also fire suppression from Navy ships of the United States with the help of the Tomahawks, and also aviation was in use. F-22, F-35, and many more. Maduro was also taken with his wife. Allegedly, she also took part in drug trafficking and human trafficking. That's what United States incriminated for this dictator. And for this thing, guys, I'm actually fine, because Maduro is the ally of Russian Federation, and we see that Russia cannot protect their friends. It happened also in Syria. Bashar Assad is now in Russia, relaxing, playing video games allegedly. But Maduro wasn't so lucky. He goes straight away on trial. And if it is like that, and I guess it will be like that it means that it was not some sort of the negotiation special military operation, but indeed Maduro was so reckless, so incompetent that he wasn't able to organize even his own personal defense, from what I see. Not even saying about Caracas or his country. Probably he thought that he keeps the situation under control and his army will protect whatever comes, but judging on all of those videos which I watched, it seems like the air defense of Venezuela was sleeping completely. no any freaking attempts were to shut down those helicopters. Even though before Maduro proclaimed that they have around 5,000 of Russian-made Igla manpads, they also have Buk systems, OSA, and also some of the sophisticated equipment delivered to them by Russia, as it was definitely confirmed. Several of the flights were conducted by Russian Ilyushin-76 a couple of months ago, but it didn't help. It didn't help at all. Even in Ukraine, that there was Gostomel operation, our guys managed to shut down several of the Russian helicopters on the way. By the time it was just the National Guard with some of the random Igla, also air defense systems. Mostly conscripts were deployed to Gostomel. By the time, no one believed that those operations could be committed near Kiev. So Ukraine definitely wasn't prepared for those missions. Nevertheless, this landing operation, after all, failed for Russians miserably. But Venezuelan dictator, he had this threat for a long time, 4 months at least. United States, they gathered their ships, aviation, helicopters, absolutely everything. And Maduro was just playing on TV, peace, 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 we are ready, we are mighty, America will not down us or something like that. But he wasn't really prepared at all, even for himself. Well, you know this comparison with Panama already told, but Panama is a tiny little country. Venezuela is a huge one, literally a military might compared to even its neighbors. Maduro was the guy who definitely wanted to use his military against the neighboring country of Guyana and occupy most territory of it. That is how self-confident that dictator really was, and Venezuela, it has the most of the oil reserves in the world. But with this dictatorship ruling, the system itself, as you see, rotted down completely and wasn't able to protect the own dictator. Crazy, but it is happening like that. Maduro has just this dinosaur mind. He literally has the only possible scenario that United States was approaching to. A possible military escalation, special military operation, operation on the water, operation on the ground. But no, he neglected absolutely everything. And because there was no defense, literally, people start to conclude some of the conspiracy theories, telling that it was behind the curtain negotiation between Maduro and Trump to get Maduro out of Caracas, and later on he might appear in some of the country like Russia or Belarus to join Bashar Assad. But you know, today I watched and also streamed Donald Trump's press conference where he said that definitely they want to persecute Maduro. And with this, I think this conspiracy theory doesn't work, because why would Maduro negotiate something that would put him decades into prison, potentially, or maybe something even more severe? So, of course, in this case, it's better to defend at least himself. I also tweeted on my Telegram channel this image. This is the usual drone interceptor. It's been used by Ukrainian army. It's also been used by Russians, and some of the armies started to produce those. The idea of the drone is working as the air defense. Ukraine daily uses hundreds of them, shutting down Shahid drones mostly. And Maduro potentially might have the access to this simple technology, actually simple, yeah, from Russian Federation. Russia has those. So why didn't he insist to obtain those drones and to train own drone operators just in case of the massive strike of the United States helicopters? Just shut down them all. For example, imagine nowadays the attack of the Russian Federation, the same which they've done on Gostomel, lots of the helicopters flying. Ukraine would nail every one of those. Every helicopter would be struck several of the times with those drones. But Venezuelan dictator thought that he is safe. Well, it's hilarious. But judging on the Ukrainian experience, the trend is that those big landing operations with helicopters, they wouldn't work in the future operations. By the way, Taiwan also should think about the possible drone interceptors, because for sure, if China starts the huge landing operation on Taiwan, it's also going to happen from helicopters. As we see, United States continue to use those, but in the future attacks with drone interceptors, it will not be possible. But the other factor is, of course, surveillance. And the United States, they use the electronic warfare system to suppress all of the radio stations, radars of the enemy. It's already understandable. So it was definitely an unexpected attack. Venezuelan forces were caught off guard for sure. So who is in power in Venezuela right now by the time Maduro was captured by Delta Force? Yeah, that was the unit that conducted that operation. Well, her name is Delcy Rodriguez. She is the vice president of Venezuela, appointed for this position by Maduro. And what we know from the Trump's press conference, that Marco Rubio already called her and proposed basically to surrender. Yeah, and maybe to become some sort of the head of the administration of Venezuela. Well, at least Trump said about it on his press conference. He also added that the United States will control Venezuela for some time until elections. Yeah, then I listened to the conference. I even wrote it on a piece of paper. Control over Venezuela or of Venezuela. Donald Trump wants to establish. Plus, Delcy Rodriguez will become a leader of the country. Well, actually, now she's a leader of the country because Maduro was kidnapped and she's a vice president. And the idea of the United States now is to force her to obey. Basically, it's like that. Establishing the control over the foreign country is called occupation or a colonization. You may use every sort of the word, but it's like that. United States, they want to control some of the other country and they want to pump oil from it and sell it. That's what Donald Trump said on his conference openly. He's not like those other presidents or leaders that say about some sort of the high values of humanity, democracy, or whatsoever. No, Donald Trump said it himself openly. We need oil. We need our companies to reestablish our equipment. We're going to pump oil from Venezuela. Plus, Venezuelans will pay us, he said like that, as some sort of the reparations because they seized our equipment, our companies, nationalized them, and kicked us away from Venezuela before. So they have to pay. And that's what I don't like about this special military operation, because it was performed not to get rid of dictator Maduro, but to establish control over oil. That's the main purpose of it. Donald Trump is quite okay with dictators. With Putin, Kim Jong-un, Xi Jinping, he is very respectful towards those. But in Venezuela, there was the guy, yes, who is a dictator, but he also has lots of the oil and not capable army compared to the United States. Plus, one more sign that it's not about dictator Maduro is that Maria Corina, I think it's her surname, yes, who is the leader of the Venezuelan opposition, who won the Nobel Prize and, by the way, dedicated the prize to Donald Trump, and she supported this special military operation against Maduro. She wasn't even contacted by the White House administration, so they're not looking at her as the possible leader of Venezuela. Because what? Because potentially she could be a democratic leader. And the United States, they don't need democracy. What they need oil. And in this case, it's better to have more or less the old regime. So the current vice president that was appointed by Maduro is the #1 candidate for the White House to convince her to follow United States policy. But it doesn't work. Vice President Rodriguez said that they will not accept foreign ruling, they will not give up own territory, own resources to aggressor state. So it seems like at this stage the control over Venezuela is not yet been established by United States. What Trump did is that he kidnapped Maduro, and he thinks that there could be some of the changes within the country that people may support they expect something to change. They think that without the leader Maduro, the country will be completely different. Well, it's 50-50, because after all, Maduro has the personalized dictatorship, so this hierarchy was built by him and for him. Now he's gone, and the system, of course, in the crisis. However, at the present hour, it is vivid that the United States are not controlling Venezuela. They are controlling Maduro with his wife. And to establish the control, usually the army is required. But Donald Trump will not deploy his armed forces, boots on the ground. He said in his conference that they're looking even for this possible scenario, but that variant is absolutely not popular among Americans. They voted for not new wars to appear. That's why Donald Trump was elected. He said, no more wars. America first, come on. But no, he is now saying about boots on the ground, and he will not do it. Army man coffins coming from Venezuela will not add new points for Donald Trump, absolutely. And yes, Venezuelan army may be not that capable, but in direct fight, for sure, there will be casualties. But of course, with this vacuum of the power established now in Venezuela, America has great chances to succeed as well. That's why I'm calling the situation 50-50. But the United States are not controlling the country, once again, for this hour. So in general, I would say that the news are positive and at the same time negative. So positive that Putin's ally was captured, completely out of power right now, but the United States are still struggling establishing its own control over Venezuela. And the bad news that they want to establish this control for the cause of getting the natural resources from an independent country, and basically it's money, great deal for Donald Trump. The previous world order, guys, it was ruined, first of all by Russia, but United States, they're playing the same scheme, absolutely. It is called the rule of force. Who has power, who has mighty military, who has nuclear weapons, wins. And it will destabilize our world so much, guys, that in the future there are going to be some new special military operations, not just from the United States against dictators, but there could be also operation from the United States against Greenland, against Canada, Mexico, Cuba. Well, Cuba, there is also dictatorship, I would say. But dictators are using that thing as well, like for example Putin in Ukraine, or maybe China will use the same method against Taiwan. And I do not believe that those nuclear superpowers as Russia, China, and the United States of America may divide the world without the global confrontation between each other. Everything goes to the scenario of the definitely global war, whether it's going to be like many of the local wars or one big, we'll see in the coming future, but the world is unstable. And coming back to the previous world order is already not possible. Building new one is also not possible. There is no consolidation from different powers. The new stable world order is only possible as the outcome of something really big and terrible as it was after the Second World War. Guys, I'm just telling you my own ideas and how I see this perspective of what is happening. But in general, for Ukraine, the situation with Maduro is kind of profitable. Even if United States establishes its oil companies in Venezuela, it's also profitable because Donald Trump promises to pump, to drill this oil, selling it. And of course, the fuel prices and oil prices, they will drop down dramatically. And that, in its turn, will harm Russia a lot. And the Russian economy will stagnate and stagflate faster, but the price for this profit is the sovereignty of Venezuela. I mean, literally a sovereignty. I don't know what is better, to live under dictatorship or to live under the ruling of some of the other country. I think two of those variants are quite terrible, and Venezuelan people, my condolences to you, because you are in a very big problem from economy perspective, from every sort of the perspective, so much pressure on your country from elsewhere. I hope you'll figure out how to build your country without direct ruling of any sort of the foreign force and without your own dictators. And will it happen like that? Absolutely not, because this dictator, he has nukes, more nukes than the United States of America. So if you have nukes, you can defend yourself. Once again, new story, confirmed by United States Special Military Operation. The only thing that might defend yourself are nukes. Donald Trump is not kidnapping Kim Jong-un. No, because Kim Jong-un has nukes. So every country According to this logic, if they don't want to be invaded by Russia or United States of America or China, they should also obtain nukes. And that creates even more instability and the possible nuclear war. Yeah, every country now thinks about it, believe me. And the experience of Ukraine, then it give up nukes for some sort of the promise for its neighbor not to attack it, plus the promise from UK and the United States of America to support its sovereignty, isn't a deep problem. United States are forcing it to capitulate, and Russia physically invaded the country. So the only solution for every country to be secured are nukes. So yeah, overall, the big plus in here is that Putin's ally was captured and Russia is not capable to protect its allies. I already mentioned to you about it. I have this dual feeling, yeah, but mostly I would say there are more pluses than minuses. But minuses is just the reality we live in, yeah. The main players, powerful countries, they decide for what to do with smaller countries, and I do not honestly like it. The previous world order was way safer and more stable to plan the life and to foresee something. Now we live just right now. Okay, we live, we have something to eat, it's okay. What will happen tomorrow? Who knows? With those crazy dictators or crazy Donald Trump in power. He might attack Greenland as he did in Venezuela, but really occupying that island easily. For him, it doesn't matter. Maduro or whoever there in Greenland, some prime minister, he's weak. That's his disadvantage, and we are strong. We can go and take. That's what Putin does in Ukraine, actually. Well, those were my thoughts, guys, about all of that, and you may like it, you may dislike, but I want to be honest with you and tell what I really think. Here I have this dual perception, and I just hope that the United States will not deploy its army fully boots on the ground in Venezuela, for God's sake, because it will bring losses, useless losses, and one more Iraq war. I think we don't need it. Absolutely. Guys, it's all what I want to say today. If you want to support my job, you may check out the link for Patreon. And thank you so much for Patreon supports. You really make my job possible here. Or you may join also membership of the channel if you watch me on YouTube by pressing join button somewhere here. And you also may watch me on Spotify, by the way. They have also video information, good quality. If I filmed something in 4K, I publish also on Spotify. You may watch in 4K as on YouTube, so it's not a problem. The link for my Spotify is also in description. And if you don't have the opportunity to support me on Patreon or membership, you may just press like to this video and subscribe to the channel to boost this video in algorithms. Thank you so much for that as well. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.